Welcome in Tuesday edition. Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Chris Beard, Ole Miss basketball coach, scheduled to join around 9 o'clock. It's about 45 minutes into the show. If you listen in podcast form, we will have him on in a little bit. Ole Miss, Texas A&M tomorrow night, 8 o'clock from the Pavilion. Ole Miss's first game with students back in town. 4-1 in the SEC. Coming off that overtime loss to Mississippi State, the win over Alabama last week, moving up in the AP top 25 several spots. I think number 16. I got that right now?
Yeah,
is that right?
16.
16 in the AP. Ohio State wins the national championship last night. Stuff going on. We'll talk about some of those different items here today on the show. A show brought to you every day by Blue Sky. Locations throughout the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55. They're out North Mississippi as well. Lunch specials, $5.69, couple sides of bread, any size fountain drink. You got the Epicenter down in Macomb. You got locations everywhere. Sweet Daddy's locations all over the state there with ribs, pulled pork, side items, and plenty more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900's that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. Or you can do what I've done, but I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Chris Beard scheduled to join us on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Seeing all the talk about the weather conditions all over the stream this morning. We got snow in Mobile, Alabama. We got snow in College Station, Texas. We got snow in New Orleans, Louisiana this morning.
Saw that.
Spots that are not typically skiing type locations from a snow variety. That is
Global warming.
What's going on? Well, it's technically climate change. So, yes, that would be the thing.
Yes.
Global warming never actually meant just what doesn't matter. I am shocked. I'm curious, Ryan said you're freezing to death. You'd love to give some of that over. I'm curious how everybody's handling it in some of these locales because, as we mentioned yesterday, don't have the things that would go along with that. So, hope all of you are.
Don't you just kind of take a couple days off and just have some fun?
Oh yeah, you're back sheltering in place at this point. I think you're just chilling out. You're hanging at this point. Here it is just really, 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 really freaking cold. It is like that biting cold outside that kind of takes your breath a little bit. I think we got down to like 11 or 12 last night. I think we're doing.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're doing the same thing tonight. I think the high is like 23 today, something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Carson's soccer game got moved to Friday.
That's probably a good move. Don't think you want to play quite this.
Be a little chilly tonight to play soccer. Be cold Friday night too. I mean, it's January. It gets cold in January.
Okay, but Billy says everything's closed but WF. Pulled up one right now to get some coffee. Do you mean WH is Waffle House or what's WF? What is that in the Mobile area?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is pretty chilly. Got to have a little few days of it. It's all right though. I watched a little of the football game, more kept up with the football game. We'll get to that in a second. But I saw this profile in The Athletic. And I like college football as much as the next guy. You and I, we're not two that would go to a lot of college football games for our jobs and occupations and whatnot. Did you see this about the guy who attended 100 college football games this season?
No.
And what his situation may have been? I want to know how much money he made because he mentions in the story, it's in The Athletic, Grace Rayner writes the profile. This guy's name is Michael Barker. And he puts in here that he only spent about $300 on tickets the entire season to go to these 100 games between money given to him on social media. He's got a deal with some kind of ticket broker called TickPick, which basically gives him obstructed view seats. So really cheap seats in bad spots in stadiums. But this sounds like a fairly miserable existence. And I'm curious what the revenue was because there's money somewhere that's not being mentioned, at least not mentioned in what I'm reading here, because it says that he's been doing this for several years. He did like 13, then he did 50, then he did something, went to 90 last season, and then his followers got him to go to 100. He's a real estate appraiser by trade. Said funding mostly comes from the savings account. I don't believe that. Says he, quote, has a partnership with TickPick, helped him get obstructed to visits, as I said, blah, 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 blah. Also has a lot of schools that are providing him media credentials. So that's an interesting extra element of this to attend the games and break his 100 stadium mark. Says to make it work financially, he has these 3 tenets. And this is where I fall because I can't go hard like this. No parking, no airport food, no hotels. If he goes to 100 games, it's $150 a night hotel. Let's say you say $15,000 if you don't do a hotel. If you can withstand the glamour life, you get the reward, he says. Instead, he sleeps in his rental car at a truck stop parking lot and has a Planet Fitness membership, which allows him to exercise, get Wi-Fi, and shower along the way. Okay. How much money is he making in from where? Because something's coming somewhere. Either that or we got screw loose stuff. One or the other.
My money's on the screw loose.
Are you?
Yeah. I mean, why would anybody want to do that? You're kind of weird at that point.
Breaking an arbitrary record just simply to break an arbitrary record.
And it's not particularly, yeah. It's a record. It's a record that only means something to him. It's probably not particularly safe to sleep in your car in the
truck stop.
I mean, keeping it real.
You have to really vet that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some ego thing going that you're breaking a record that nobody cares about at all.
It's the like the really weird Guinness Book of World Records where you go, why is that a record and why are you trying to do it?
Yeah, I mean,
what difference does it make?
Like Doors says, it's the simple question here is why. And there's no good answer. And when there's no good answer, that's because there's no good answer.
And I'm not really
hey, I went to 100 games. Congrats.
And I'm not really blaming Grace Rayner, but in some ways, like glorifying it is like,
Well, without asking, why'd you do it? Like, why? What'd you get out of it? For what?
Because I just wanted to isn't really an answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird.
I started with 13 and want to get to 100. Well,
yeah,
and
just because you run up big numbers doesn't mean it's not always a good thing.
Oh, we'll get into basketball more in a little bit. But as we mentioned, Ole Miss 16th in the AP Top 25 for the week. That is that where they were? They move up.
They were 21.
They were 21.
Moved up 5 spots.
Okay. That was not listed correctly on here is why I'm confused.
Which kind of shows you they got a lot of respect for what they did last week.
Missouri's ranked 22nd in the country, and they're not in the top half of the SEC in this ranking. They are 9th in this thing.
I mean, if all the rankings and stuff are right, the league's just loaded.
1, 4, 5, 6, 9, 13, 14, 16. Then Missouri down at 22. Auburn and unanimous number 1.
Yeah.
At 17-1 overall. Duke 2, Iowa State 3, Alabama 4, Florida 5.
I think Bama State at 4. I'm not sure where Mississippi State was last week, but they're 14. A&M's 13. So big week for big week.
State was 15, went to 14.
State went up 1. So big week for Ole Miss. They get 13 at home and go 222 from a ranking standpoint. Not that the rankings matter at all in the world of seeding for the tournament, but if it just gives you a reference point as to what kind of week you have ahead of you, now you know.
Ole Miss 13th in the net, speaking of stats that do matter a little bit, and those two teams they face. Texas A&M is 19 in the net as of right now, and Missouri is 23.
So 2 quad 1 games this week, which is the key thing. That is a stat that does matter. Your record in quad 1 games.
Because they just keep running that up.
Yeah, you're going to play a ton of them. Just got to win a few of them. And like we said, there's a difference between if your goal is to make the tournament and if your goal is to make a run in the tournament. Those are 2 different creatures.
I have not seen, I don't think it's come out yet. Door's asking where Ole Miss fell in the final football poll. We don't know that. I saw Brett McMurphy put his out and had Ole Miss 11th. So I have no idea if that's any reference point or not, but that's the only thing I have seen as far as where Ole Miss might be sitting at that point in a final poll. Ohio State wins 34-23 over Notre Dame last night. Notre Dame put together an opening drive touchdown, but they had to run Riley Leonard like 1,000 times in that drive to do it. He got a little banged up. Notre Dame then completely bled the clock. I think they scored on 4 straight possessions after that. I think Notre Dame, the rest of the first half, had only a total of 7 plays after their first drive, if that stat is correct. And it got down to 16 at one point, I think, 31-15. But after that,
I never turned it
not
on.
not much there at all. Freeman had a really weird thing on that drive. They were inside the 10, and he kicked a field goal, which kept it a 2-score game. Like, it was a really odd field goal right there late. I don't know what he was trying to do analytically or just in general. But Ohio State, by far the better team. The playoff is done. Definitely need to tinker with seeding. I think most people would argue, though, that are for the playoff, that it worked. You had a team that would not have made the Final Four that certainly look like the best team out of the teams that were in the playoff this season. Ohio State kind of ran through everybody except for Texas and won those games. So if you're looking for Ole Miss angles, Ross Bjork, Quinshon Judkins, and David Senigmanosin, all with national titles now for the Buckeyes last night, and Judkins was damn good last night. So that was...
He's a very good player. I mean, he is.
Yeah. He found the end zone at least twice, maybe 3 times. I don't have the stats up in front of me, but one or the other last night. Again, just a really dominant effort against the Notre Dame team that had been very well coached and played very well defensively. Yeah, Riley Leonard only 39 yards passing in the half. I mean, it just completely bogged down against that Ohio State defense.
Yeah, I wasn't any intentionality. I just never turned it on. It was just Laura and I, and there was some theater on television. It was just we never turned.
Well, to be 2 big teams, I think not having an SEC team as far as a team that the region sort of roots for and a villain for the rest of the country kind of affects it. Like,
yeah, maybe.
I'm curious at rankings because you're going up against all the inauguration stuff and all those different things. But then in addition to that, it just didn't have much juice. Like, even sports fans that weren't politics focused last night, they just didn't seem to care. I don't know if it was some ways an Ohio State predetermined thing. They were probably going to win and they were the better team. I saw a lot of, and this is just anecdotal social media, but saw a lot of anecdotal social media of, once they got past Texas, that was kind of it, that kind of thing.
I felt like January 20th was a little late for a college football game.
It is.
If I'm just being honest, it didn't.
On the heels of your NFL divisional weekend.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah, it was a lot. Thought they went a little long. Yeah, I don't know. Would I've had more interest had there been an SEC team? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm in the vast minority of this. We cover it pretty hard from the first day of media days, but I mean, I was kind of college. You're kind of college football. There's a natural body clock a little bit, and January 20th felt late. Maybe I'm in the vast minority. I don't know.
Yeah, Tywan Malone, he is still on the team for Ohio State. I completely forgot about Tywan Malone. So there's another connection there. He had 8 tackles on the season. Not a key contributor. But
did Davison start?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I did. I mean, he has obviously played a ton, but I do not know the answer to that question. I had it on like. Sorry, I actually never turned it on. Well, sorry, I turned it on for like 15 minutes. Otherwise, I never even like focused daily. I kind of had it on my phone. I was looking at Gamecast. Had it gotten close in the second half, I would have turned it on, which is kind of what I said to you the other day. That's what it's going to have to do to get it over about a 5.5. And as it got close, it wasn't even a 5.5. It was like a 4. It was like a 3.5. I was like, okay. Again, nothing else going on. Maybe, sure, whatever. But I mean, I might have been just as happening to turn on an episode of Yellowstone or something and catch up. Like, it wasn't where it was something that was taking over my day whatsoever last night. But it does end. It was, I mean, seeing the stream, somebody calls it a draining season. And that's not even Ole Miss perspective. That was Grind, an Auburn guy. I kind of get that. I kind of get it being a draining season a little bit to this length and this long. And like you said, since really the 1st of August is when you turn the page, or even middle of July, and here we are.
Well, and so much of the rhetoric around the sport is about the stuff off the field. I think that drains people to a degree. I mean, I haven't studied Ohio State's roster. I know that they've added some transfers. I don't know how many guys are homegrown, but you have a quarterback that was at Kansas State, a running back that was at Ole Miss. You've got that kind of thing. I just a year ago, I have my opinion of it. I've learned to sort of try to keep it to myself to some degree, but I'll be curious to see what the ratings are because they had competition last night.
Yeah, I'm not even really judging their ratings last night because it's not fair. I think they're way down, but
Yeah.
I expect them to be way down even beyond that because of what else they were going up against, obviously, with political stuff. Yeah, Davidson started. Tower says he played well last night. Several key breakups there. It's true. Tywin Malone does have 2 national championship rings now in 2 different sports.
No, it's true.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
He's not played much anywhere for anybody. Good kid, though. Really, really nice kid. I wanted him to do well, and it just hasn't really materialized. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Drew. Notre Dame kicking a field goal down 16 with 9 minutes left, and they missed it. That does not seem like the analytical Lane Kiffin move there at that point.
No, getting from 16 to 13 doesn't help you a ton.
That does you nothing with 9 minutes to go. You either get in the end zone or you don't at that point. I don't know why that was decision whatsoever there at that point. A lot of talk on the board. We'll move on a couple other things in a minute. About these preseason top 25, or these way too early top 25s. They're not even preseason top 25s. Number one, and you guys know this, I'm just repeating, they do not matter at all. So don't let your blood pressure medicine get out of whack and eat some statins today over that. But 2, you are in for a completely different offseason from an expectation standpoint, from a coverage standpoint. I mean, I do think that is not a long-term something we need to talk about forever, but I mean, a notable topic to mention is that last year you were number 4, number 5, number 6 in every one of these things. And in every single article, there was this huge Ole Miss splashes. A lot of these are quarterback based, but I'm looking through 3 of them here. I think 1 has Ole Miss at 25. 1 does not have Ole Miss in, but has them as one of the next teams. And 1 does not have Ole Miss in the top 30 for next season. So yeah, you're right there on the cusp of in or out. When you look at the losses, they are tremendous from a roster standpoint of what you're missing and losing and that kind of thing. Again, it doesn't matter. I'm more setting your expectations for you're just not going to get a ton of pub between now and September on a national level. It's not going to happen.
I cover Ole Miss, and I couldn't name the starting lineup right now. Can't even imagine, like, if someone goes, name the starting lineup for Alabama. Couldn't do it. LSU, couldn't do it. Could name spots. Couldn't do it. I couldn't do a preseason top 25 right now.
No.
Can't even. I need lots of time to look at rosters and go, no, wait, he's there? Personally, I don't think that's healthy for the game. I think I'm in the minority.
You're talking about with top 25?
Yeah, well, just in general. Like, it's January and you go, okay, because 10 years ago you could do this. Right? You could go, okay, let's a way too early top 25 because you could look at rosters. We're not through with the portal yet. I mean, technically, the kids at Ohio State and Notre Dame have 5 days starting today to get in the portal.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a spring portal.
It basically means here's the top 25 teams that have got guys coming back from their own team as of now. That is what the list is. It is a list of experience for the most part.
Yeah, well, it's just basically people's editors told them we do this, so do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it. And probably, I haven't read it, probably admitted, hey, this is even less scientific than it's always been.
Several of them did, and I really appreciated that. The one that I got a little frustrated with was Slaybach because he tried to act like this was really important. And it was my God, stop. Let's not do the college football machine thing right now. And his editor should be like taken out back and whipped because not only did he have to do a top 25, he had to do key returners, key losses, and like a 300-word outlook on all 25 teams.
Oh, that's brutal.
As a writer, I can't imagine trying to come up with
that. Be a lot of work, and you're going to get so much wrong because it's it's so fluid. I would think you're really leaning on your friends that are local writers at that point.
I mean, he has Ole Miss again, 25th. I mean, if somebody wanted to rank them up, it would be just simply proof of concept, and Lane has won. I mean, Ole Miss is 39-14 over the last 4 seasons, I think, doing that quickly in my head. So you can play that out if you would like. I mean, they went, 10, 8, 11, 10, I believe. What?
I'm doing the math. They went 10-3.
Yeah, 10-3, 11-2.
What was in between?
8-5, and 10-3.
$39 13.
13. Okay. So there you go. I mean, that is a 4-year, very, very good run. Lane has found a way to put competitive teams on the field. But your national media is not going to know Austin Simmons to the level that you do. They're not going to give him credit for anything at this point. He has one drive. That's where it sits. I mean, Slaybot's outlook, which is negative but fair at the same time. The Rebels invested heavily in the transfer portal to make a run in the SEC championship this past season. Came up short, missed the CFP after a late loss in Florida. Ole Miss will undergo a big facelift in 2025 with Dart and most of his top receivers leaving, as well as much of the offensive line, which that's whatever. Pre-game might not be as much fun in the Grove this fall. The defensive line will have a new look with Princely, Ivy, Nolan, and Pegues all departing. There are big losses in the secondary, too. Simmons, a left-handed passer, looked good in limited action. Kiffin is bringing in blah, 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 blah. And then so-and-so are important pickups on defense.
That's fair.
Yeah, completely just...
Yeah. I have no idea. Like I said, if you told me, hey, rank the preseason SEC, it would just be guesses. No, I don't really know. I'd have to really think about it. I'm assuming Alabama's quarterback is Ty Simpson. I don't know who Georgia's quarterback is. Auburn's is Jackson Arnold. I had to think for a minute. LSU has their quarterback back, so that's going to give them a little juice.
Yeah, they were pretty high on this list. I missed where it was.
Tennessee's got
8 for LSU.
Tennessee's got
Nico
back. I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Sellers is that's what I'm saying. In the SEC, it's all about what quarterback is coming back. I mean,
Sure.
You're looking at their deal. 2 is Texas.
I'd be high on Florida.
They're here. So ESPN, this is Slayball. I'm not going through all of them. I'm just going through this one. Texas, Arch at number 2. I'm just doing SEC teams.
Yeah, maybe.
5, Georgia. They've got Stockton back, good or bad.
Okay.
I actually thought he played pretty well in the loss. He was fine. He wasn't the best Beck's ever been, but he was fine.
He was fine.
Yes.
He's
8.
not as good as Beck.
No. LSU 8. Bama 12. They do not list Ty Simpson on here, but that appears to be what the local media is doing because I saw multiple features on Ty Simpson this morning from Tuscaloosa-based media outlets. So that is my guess. They have Illinois at 13. They won 10 games. They have Altmaier back.
Sure.
That's why.
Yeah.
Florida at 18. Flagway's back. Tennessee at 19. Nico's back. That actually might be a little low. A&M at 22. Marcel Reed technically back, but I'm having a hard time buying he's going to go win 10 or 11 games.
Yeah.
Having a hard time getting there. And then Ole Miss at 25. And there's a lot of just equal opportunity spread around stuff here. Like they have Boise State still ranked fairly highly, and like they were completely jaunty and he's gone. So like, what are we doing? That makes no sense.
Like I said, I couldn't even begin to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So much player turnover that it's remarkably difficult, I would think. I would not want that exercise put in front of me.
Not even a little bit.
No. I mean, you would have to really lean on local people.
So, anyway, there's
that's where you find out which national guys have local friends, which ones have big timed. Because sometimes they'll hit you up with, hey, do you have a few minutes?
And sometimes you want to go, yeah.
And sometimes you're like, no, I don't.
I'm out.
I'm good. Because if I called you and said, do you have a few minutes? Your answer would be nope.
Yeah. You're not giving me the national perspective bull crap. So, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Deal with it.
I'm at the gym.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll continue in a second. First, NE-Spark, fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, they offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more, register for service. That's nespark.com. NE-Spark. Get connected. Stay local. You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, But if you have them covered in sauce, then you saucy nugs, take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or for your real heat seeker, spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's. A participating U.S. Wendy's.
Brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. We'll have a hand-raised guys on Thursday afternoon, as we've kind of gotten used to doing. Different names, same great products, people, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, South Haven, Memphis, that area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by Window Hero, from window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, everything in between. Window Hero has the experience, equipment, and expertise to make your property look and feel brand new. If you're in North Mississippi, let Window Hero make your home or business's exterior look amazing. They've got cleaning solutions, satisfaction guarantee, specialized equipment, so much more. 662-510-7077 or windowhero.com. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Again, rebelsretire.com. Also brought to you by Arnett's Fine Jewelry. It's a fourth-generation jeweler located in the old Lamons Jewelry Building on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They offer expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, stackable diamonds, genuine stone bands, pearls, color stones, diamond jewelry, and more. At Arnett, they have super gifts for many occasions: birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, flexible diamonds, diamond pendants, earrings, so much more. Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler.
So let's see, looking at it here, I just had this stat up. Somebody mentioned Judkins' actual stats last night. He had 11 carries for 100 yards, averaging 9.1 carries, and scored 2 touchdowns last night for the Buckeyes, long of 70 on a run. Travion Henderson goes 12 for 49 last night. I don't know what their carries ended up being for the season. I'd be curious, but I do not know.
I think he got 1,000 yards.
Did he?
I think so. He's a very good player.
Will Howard had a very efficient night, 17 of 21, 231 and 2 for the Buckeyes last night.
A solid player.
He's very solid.
They have an elite wide receiver, a talented team. They're good up front. That depth at running back, solid on defense. There's a lot of talk about their culture and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. They're very talented. They have an expensive roster and put it together well, and they won the title. Good for them. In my opinion, we've covered the Quinshon thing to the point of it being tired. I'm
kind of glad he's out of games.
You can argue that Ole Miss should have figured it out. You can argue that they couldn't. I'm good either way. But he went someplace where he wasn't going to be worn down as much, and he won. And I'm happy for Davison having gotten to know him a good bit. Good for Ross.
Well, you got there.
Whatever.
Don't feel it like an administrator's a little different level. I'm like, okay, I mean, it's
I don't have any big personal feelings one way or the other.
Yeah. Yes, Judkins also had a receiving touchdown. Sorry, I missed that. So he had 3 total for
he's a versatile player. He'll play in the NFL.
Saw they do this every year. Story coming out in the Mercury News about the top 25 most influential people in college football. Jimmy Sexton all the way down at number 3 this year. So,
wow.
But bad year for Sexton. All he did was find a way to replace Saban, get everybody paid, do all that kind of stuff. Still playing Puppet Master, but down at 3 now for James S.
I'm sure he's fine.
I think he's okay.
I'm sure he's perfectly okay with that.
Number one is the house settlement gurus with everything going on. If you want to feel that way, great. I think that's a little bit of a start to do something I can't do right here, but
Well, I
yeah,
think
that's
that's
that.
I'm in the minority on this too. I think the House settlement is meaningless. I think it's going to fall apart. I think it's going to be challenged legally and blown to smithereens. I could be wrong. I'm not a legal scholar.
I will take the full admit that I haven't read it yet, so it's going to be a tomorrow thing. But I mean, this Wisconsin Miami thing is very fascinating on where everybody falls because it's not as simple as he had a contract in NIL and he broke it because that's easy to do. That's not a big deal. Andrew Fisher, Westman, they all say hello. That's an easy deal. This is different. This is a much different type of contract once it goes into rev share and the thing that he signed and those kind of elements. And when that's going up against, Wisconsin did also break a rule by not putting him in the portal when he asked to go in the portal. It's problematic on a number of levels. I'm fully in on just sort of what happens because I think it's as much of a precedent-setting case as there is possible right now in college football.
Yeah, one way or the other.
I mean,
every trend has gone towards for 4+ years now has gone towards the player. Not saying this will. I don't know. I'm not a legal scholar. Won't pretend to be one. But I'm interested because it will set precedent. And if he wins and he can basically void his deal at Wisconsin and go to Miami, from a precedent standpoint, just about anybody can leave whenever they want to leave. The portal window becomes sort of obsolete.
Yeah, because the revenue sharing contracts were the one thing that was sort of potentially holding together from a contract and a requirement standpoint. And if that's dead on arrival before it ever even starts, which is what this would be, because again, there is no house settlement, there is no rev share yet. He's signing a 2-year agreement that doesn't actually kick in until August in every capacity. So if we're already saying, yeah, but whatever, because that contract included performance changes too, which NIL can't technically do in a contract. I mean, when you looked at the actual contracts that one Big Ten school, it wasn't Wisconsin, another school leaked their contract to the media and said this is kind of what it looks like anonymously. It says that their pay and their portion of the rev share can change up or down based off performance week to week or as it goes. Maybe not week to week, but as the contract plays out.
On rev share?
That's correct, yes.
Because NIL technically can't.
Correct, yes.
So here's the thing. When you make these contracts so complicated and the whole process so confusing, it might depend. I'm guessing here. It might depend on what type of judge you get in front of.
100%.
But if you get in front of a judge that doesn't know anything about intercollegiate athletics and doesn't really care and just looks at this and goes, this is stupid. This is not legally binding. And I think that's certain. I won't say that's likely, but I'll say that's certainly possible.
It's sort of what's happened in a couple of these instances. And I don't think we should have somebody who's just this most like Pollyanna college person in the world or anything. I'm not saying go crazy the other way, but I do in generally feel like you need a judge who understands the landscape that they're dealing with, like, and not just simply looks at it like whatever. It's like, what? That's not. But now the player would argue it is. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still a little the other way on this. Right or wrong.
What do you mean?
I still would like the spirit of the rule to matter a little bit. Like I have a hard time with just simply going because I know once you do that, the whole thing falls apart at some point. So we're just delaying the inevitable at that extent. It takes a certain give and take to even make this operable at the level that it's at. If I can come back in a past life and somebody and choose, I want to be the guy that runs turnkey. Because it doesn't really matter what he does or not, whatever. And they get all this retaining fee and all this stuff to pick these new coaches and do all the legwork. And
the coaching search.
Yeah. The coaching search people. I mean, that is one plum gig. Number 9 on this list is the 2 managing director of athletics, a turnkey. They got a good gig. Just kind of do some work. You talk to people for people, so they didn't actually speak to them themselves. Hey, you call Mike and go, hey, John over there at State U, he can't call you, but I'm just hollering at you. You interested? What do you think? You good? You want to go? Here's kind of the numbers we're thinking. It's a good gig.
Wicked Bruce says the Wisconsin-Miami thing is easy. The contract's not enforceable until August, so that part is moot. Congratulations for getting moot correct. It's one of my pet peeves. Thank you. The refusal to enter the guy in the portal's the actual issue.
Yeah, they made a huge mistake by not putting him in the portal and then fighting it if you wanted to have the fight.
Right.
Because you 100% broke a rule by not putting him in the portal. That's not even debatable. Because the kid can't do it himself. The school has to do it. They were pissed and went, nope, not going to happen. I don't blame them for being pissed, again.
No.
But
again, 5 years ago, none of these things existed.
No.
5 years later, you are putting all of these rules into a system that was never built for these rules. It wasn't built for this. And you just threw it out there and you said, okay, well, there's really no guardrails. And you can't be surprised when all of a sudden the cars are going off the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said on McCready and Siskey yesterday, remember when you were a little kid? I grew up in North Louisiana, and in my neighborhood was a lot of boys. A lot of boys probably within a couple years older than me and 3 or 4 years younger than me, okay? And in the summertime, we would play wiffle ball. We'd play baseball until we broke somebody's window, and then we'd play wiffle ball. And we had rules. You knew where first base was, where second base was. The ball had to clear the next driveway in the air to be a home run.
Yeah, of course.
You knew there were rules. Why did a bunch of little kids make rules? Because without rules, you have chaos. You have structure. It's all college athletics has done. They've gone out in the yard to play wiffle ball, and there's nobody's rules. And so
I just hit it and go.
I thought the oak tree was third base. No, the oak tree's not third base. Well, it used to be third
Not
base.
anymore.
Well, it's not today. Well, you didn't tell me that. Well, I just told you.
And I might change it in a minute.
And now we're going to fight.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if you do that with a bunch of little boys in the yard? Somebody's going to get pissed off and take his ball and go home, or there's going to be a fist fight.
And there we are.
Right?
Yes.
That's where you are. As opposed to we were smart enough inherently, we were smart enough to know, okay, nope. So that's the oak tree's third base. You can't slide into the oak tree. If you touch the base, if you touch the tree, you're safe. If it goes to this side of the tree, it's foul. This side of the tree, it's fair. If it hits the tree, it's fair, right? Those were the rules. Everyone sort of knew the rules. College sports really have gotten to a place where no one really knows the rules.
Yeah.
Well, that leads to chaos. I'm not sure that's a terrible analogy.
No,
the more
it's
that
not.
I think about it. I mean, as I did it yesterday, I was like, this is sort of stupid. As I was talking about it in my own head, I was going, you're an idiot. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you're not an idiot. Because we were able to play full wiffle ball seasons because we had rules.
You could. Back-to-back spots on the list. Walker Jones comes in at number 15. Obviously, Ole Miss Grove Collective CEO says former Mississippi linebacker and sports agent, serves as the president of the university's Name, Image, and Likeness Initiative, but has become a leading national voice in the NIL world as well. The Collective Association advocates for athletes and collectives alike, including groups affiliated with Michigan, Oregon, and Washington. That's right next to Mark Keenum, the Mississippi State president. Says as chair of the College Football Playoffs Board of Managers, he's ultimately responsible for all the major CFP decisions. In the past year, the list of action items includes approving the new media contract with ESPN and the revamped revenue model that will treat the SEC and Big Ten differently than everyone else. So just a few names on the list there as things are as going on. So notable, I guess you would say. Your Bears hired Ben Johnson, I saw.
Carson's Bears.
Oh, sorry, your Bengals. I apologize.
I'm not
Is
even.
that-
I don't.
Are we off that shtick too now?
I don't have an NFL team. I'd love to have one. It'd make it more fun.
Neither held.
It just doesn't. I don't have the emotional capacity for all that. I'm too busy in the football season to really get into an NFL season. And then once the NBA starts, I'm pretty emotionally invested. And if the Cubs are decent, I'll be emotionally invested in that into September. I just don't have time for an NFL team. And he doesn't either. He didn't watch a single snap.
Yeah, Bears fans seem really excited. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Did you see the story about, all the Brady rules were in effect? He called the Lions game the other day. And one of the rules is because he's on the Raiders management staff and they interviewed Ben Johnson and he was a candidate, he could not say his name during the broadcast. So the gymnastics for Brady to talk about the coordinators and talk about what the Lions were doing offensively to make sure he did not say the coordinator's name at any point during the broadcast was comedic, I guess I would say.
So where's that going? Where he'll have to eventually stop broadcasting?
It's what everybody says. I mean, his agent, I don't know if it's Lee Steinberg, who it is, continues to say, no, he's going to fulfill his 10-year contract. But the list of rules make it very prohibitive. However, an item of note is that most people who sort of grade him and rate him every week say that was his best performance on Sunday overall. Said that he had kind of gotten comfortable and really knew the teams and felt really good. They thought he did a very good job on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it was.
Yeah.
Saturday, I guess.
I think he's a really good broadcaster.
But there was multiple times that he even was sort of set up and he completely even went silent or he talked around it in such ways that you knew that's what he was doing. I mean, it's talented in some ways because I don't know that I would not slip up at some point with all these different things that you can or cannot do as it moves on. And at some point, it becomes prohibitive for Fox or whoever he's working for.
I would think. Although he's a huge name. And I thought he got better as the year went on, as you would expect. I thought the beginning of the season criticism of him was so stupid. I'm like, of course he's not going to be super polished right off the bat.
Yeah, that's not fair at all.
But he's an exceptional person with great work ethic, and he got really good at it. I think the NFL's overthinking this.
You mean the letting him talk or not talk stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not impacting Ben Johnson's decision, what Tom Brady says on a broadcast.
No.
At all. He's going to go where
minority owner of team goes, well, that was a good call or a bad call. Well, yeah, Ben knows it was a good call or a bad call. I mean, it's not.
Either worked or it didn't.
Does this extend to potential free agents? So you don't talk bad about quarterbacks? I mean,
probably.
He doesn't talk bad about officials at all.
Right.
Because that's illegal every week. He can't do anything negatively toward officials because he's an owner. And they were the juxtaposition where you really notice it because, Aikman still does a really good job. I know some people don't like him, but I think he's phenomenal still. And they were showing a bunch of sound bites where he was criticizing coordinators, criticizing officials, and doing these things. And it's just such a stark difference.
Right.
Because it's not as toned down.
Well, I guess you'd love to know if they had known he was going to become an owner, would they have signed him to this deal? My guess is no.
And it happened pretty damn quick after. You have to think that in some ways, you're probably a little pissed going, could somebody not have sent a carrier pigeon over here?
Maybe somebody knew. Maybe he told him. Maybe he was upfront about it. He had expressed interest before in being ownership, I think. I think that was something that had been expressed. I doubt if it was shocking to Fox.
My interest in the Super Bowl might be completely contingent on KC or Buffalo being there. I think I'm like a 9 if Buffalo's there, and if KC's there, I'm like a 2. Just don't care. I mean, and I don't hate, I have no personal thing. I'm just tired of them. I don't care. I don't care to watch it. But if Buffalo's in, I'm sort of in. I don't know why. Just kind of am.
I'm trying to think what my interest level is on the games this week. I mean,
I will pull for Washington in the other game.
Yeah, Washington is Cinderella.
Kind of like Jaden. I'm kind of mixed on Philadelphia. Don't care either way.
I like Jaden Daniels a lot. I actually enjoy watching him play. Yeah, I'm probably with you. If it's Buffalo, I'm more interested than I am than if it's Kansas City. For sure.
I don't want to watch.
I have some Chiefs fatigue.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Kansas City win another one. I just don't. There's nothing about that is appealing to me in any way. Yeah, Bills Commanders, I'm like really in. Sure, let's throw the ball down, see what happens. I'm kind of cool with it. Don't want to be winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I want Buffalo to win it if you just told me to pick the team that wins the Super Bowl. Actually, I know I am. I'm 100%.
I think if you told me right now I could pick the champ, I'd pick the Commanders.
Would you?
Yeah, just Cinderella. And I love Daniels. I think he's terrific.
Rookie QB.
Just great kid. But I don't. If you made me bet, right? I don't know.
I mean, already as a rookie, one of the top 7-8 quarterbacks in the league.
I've seen some people put him as high as 5.
I mean, there's an obvious 4, and then you're trying to figure it out.
Sure.
Yeah. A lot of Rams people think Stafford's going to retire and hang it up.
Had a hell of a career. He's got his health. I mean, I could understand walking away today.
That's a good question. And we'll go to Chris after this. What was there Jordan fatigue during the 6?
No.
Did we get that for the Bulls, or we just want the legacy and the greatness at that point?
There was no Jordan fatigue. He was great. Everyone understood the greatness. I think you knew at the time you were watching greatness. I don't know that, fairly or not, I don't know that anybody watches the Chiefs and Mahomes and thinks that the way that you did with Jordan. You knew with Jordan you were watching greatness. I think you knew with Kobe you were watching greatness.
And you wanted to see how they could run it up, what they could do.
And Jordan was likable. People liked Jordan. For whatever reason, people don't really like the Chiefs.
Yeah, you wonder if the break helped at all. I don't know. It's a good question. Because he had a 2-year absence in the middle of the 6.
Well, it was a human element to that.
Yeah.
Lost his father, did the baseball thing. There were all the rumors. Then he came back and did it again.
Yeah.
And there was that the cast around him was pretty likable. I mean, Phil Jackson, people liked Phil Jackson. Dennis Rodman was fascinating. People, for the most part, liked Scottie Pippen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. All right, let's go to Chris Beard, Ole Miss basketball coach. Give us a second to get this worked out, and then we'll talk to Chris again. Texas A&M Ole Miss, 8:00 on Wednesday from the Pavilion. First game with students back for the Rebels. Of note, BlueSky is jumping in. They're going to match tickets sold to $. So there'll be a donation to the Grove Collective coming from BlueSky, Craddock family, on a Wednesday night for the A&M game. Should be a pretty packed pavilion for that. So they're jumping in and doing that. And I think a little more coming to that as well, but I'm not at liberty to give that away. But that is coming up. So if you're in attendance, you're a ticket scanned, you will be $1 given to the Grove Collective on Wednesday. So again, just kind of hang on with us, hold with us. I'll cut some of the dead air out for podcast purpose, but Stream, you're in here with us and you are around for we are here.
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris, Neal, McCready, Chase Parham. How are you, sir?
Good. You guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're actually live right now, so on the podcast. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
Just lead it off, Chris. Appreciate the time. What would you kind of tell the team after that game Saturday? They worked hard to get back in it. Obviously, fall short. But what's sort of the message in the locker room, and then what's sort of the practice keys going into Wednesday night?
Yeah, it's always the same message after every game. The final scoreboard doesn't really change the outcome of what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better each game. It's really important that I think after games everybody understands and agrees and is on the same page as to what happened. Certainly those are easier conversations when the scoreboard goes your way. But I thought our last game, 3 things are really the factors that we got to work hard towards fixing. The start of the game, we can't dig that big a hole. The rebounding differential continues to be something we emphasize. We out-rebounded our opponent in the first 4, I think, SEC games, which led to some success. And we got away from that against Mississippi State. Give them credit. It's easy to sit around and talk about what you want to do, much more difficult to do it. And then thirdly, in that last game, the free throw differential. One of our goals as a program is we're always trying to get to the free throw line, get to the bonus early, understand shot selection in big moments. And Mississippi State basically made more free throws than we shot. So give them credit for being the more aggressive team most of the game.
You guys on that game Saturday, it looked like there was so much emotional and physical effort just to come back from that deficit, right? You're down 14, you cut it to 8, you cut it to 2 to 1. Morrell hits that 3. It looked in the overtime like maybe there were a couple of moments where maybe there was a little bit of almost like mental fatigue that comes from that. Is that a fair assessment when you spend that much time, trying to fight your way back from a big hole?
I mean, me personally, I don't buy that. I think the game's the same, same for both sides. So I think what's more concerning to me was the start of the game. Not that you're going to play in that kind of environment against that kind of motivated team and, expect to be up after 4 or 8 minutes, but you got to be within striking distance. So there's a difference between being down, 18-4 and maybe 18-9, 18-10. So, I think, again, there's those 3 things: the rebounding, the free throws, and the start of the game is where we put our focus.
Everyone's talking nationally about the league right now. And you look at the net ratings, and I probably had it in front of me here a few minutes ago, but you've got so many teams in the top 40 of net. You guys are 16 in both major national polls. You play A&M tomorrow night. They're 13. I know you're focused on that game. Missouri's next. They're 22nd, something like that. Is your opinion from what you've seen, is the league as good this year as the numbers seem to indicate that it is?
Yeah, I think so far. I mean, the story's still unwritten. I think what started all this was really just each team's performances and win-loss record in the non-conference schedule. All the leagues start the year with a narrative, kind of a vision on what could happen. That's the whole point in the media days and the start of college basketball. But I think what the SEC teams did is we just won a lot of big games, in the non-conference. Certainly highlighted by the, SEC, ACC challenge. Those results were real. So, I mean, to me, it's that's the story. I don't think everyone's talking about it if we wouldn't have had all those wins in the non-conference. So now we're in league play, and we'll see how this thing works out. But it appears to be that it is going to be just a knockdown, drag-out fight for 18 rounds for each team. That's shown true here through the first 5 games.
You talked about this after the game in Tuscaloosa when you guys won last week, and I was curious. You were talking about your time. I guess you spent a couple of days with around the Alabama football program, around Nick Saban as a coach, just sort of trying to absorb from his greatness. What were those couple of days like? I'm curious.
That's one of the best experiences of my coaching career. I know being in Tuscaloosa the other day just kind of reminded me of that. Basically, I've spent a lot of time in my career studying winning, whether it be in sports, whether it be in business, whether it be in just people that are elite at what they do. And then I have a personal, likeness of football. I enjoy it. It's a hobby of mine to watch college football. Some of my best friends coach football. I really have watched Coach Saban's teams for a long time. We've always talked about kind of process over results, kind of winning the next day, winning the next play, doing your job, trying to talk more about the things that go into winning, that control winning, other than just the burden and the pressure to win the game. Coach Saban, with his national platform, spent a lot of time talking about that, and so we studied a lot of things he did. Through some relationships, I was able to get down there, just like some people come visit our practices from time to time. You are really appreciative and respectful of that invite. I really appreciate the access I got, and really the ability to talk to a lot of the people that were around Coach on a daily basis. So we learned so much, not only about practice or preparation, but all the way down to some specific questions about, how Coach kind of tried to hire his staffs, how he set up his day-to-day schedule, as well as the schedule of others around him. So we've had a lot of great trips, a lot of experiences in our career. That was top of the list.
How much can you, I mean, obviously they're different sports, but in terms of structure and days and practices and that kind of thing, there probably are a lot of similarities. Is it as different as someone might think it would be, running a basketball program as compared to running a football program?
Yeah, I think, the obvious difference is just the sheer number of people involved.
Yeah.
you're talking about over 100 players versus, for us, 15 or 16 players. But when you kind of cut through that, I think, again, there is a lot of similarities. I think football coaches have always been very organized the way they set up a practice in terms of, their starters going against their starters, or the first team going against the second team, or the breakdown of practice, different things going on the practice field at the same time. Very similar to basketball. So it's just there's obviously the differences of just sheer numbers. But I think when you think about just the goal of being efficient, accomplishing as much as you can within routine, within discipline each day in practice, staff meetings, the organization of recruiting, whether that be through position or by areas geographically. I've always just been really interested in how football guys set it up. We've studied a lot of guys over the years, Alabama being one of them.
Did you watch the championship game last night? Speaking of, last football game of the year?
I did not. We play a really good Texas A&M team here in a couple of days.
Are you kind of like a film it late at night? I mean, how do you sort of wind down? I mean, after a game, you get in, you go straight to the tape. I mean, you get the glass of wine, wake up the next morning early, get at it. What's sort of the deal from when the game ends and you get home to what happens from there?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's just kind of two sides to the coin. One, when things go our way, to me, it's more of a relief than enjoying winning. It's something I've thought a lot about, but I am who I am, and it is what it is. So I think ultimately satisfaction will be winning the last game of the season. So not a lot of enjoyment after wins, but there is kind of an ability to release, and kind of it's relief more than anything. I think when things don't go our way, we try to turn the page pretty quick. Part of turning the page is really, again, try to have a clear understanding of what happened in the last game. It's one thing to sit around, feel sorry for yourself or gripe about it. It's a whole nother thing to understand, hey, here's exactly what happened. Here's what we got to do to get it fixed.
You talk frequently about 6 games in 3 weekends. You've done it. You got to that 6th game, took it to an extra 5 minutes. Were you able – it's a twofold question. I'm curious. Were you able to, A, enjoy that run that year at Texas A&M, and then B, how long – Texas Tech, I meant. And then B, how long did it take you to get over the I would think profound disappointment of being that close to a national? That's about as close as you can get without winning one.
Yeah, it's okay. Texas A&M's on my mind too, so I understand that. No, I mean, I haven't thought much about that over the years, but people do ask me from time to time. I think probably the biggest source of positive is when I'm spending time with those players and those people in the organization, our coaches and staff on this year's team. There's certainly some really good memories when we're all around each other again, whether it be some random things or running into guys from time to time or seeing guys in the summer. That's probably, to me, the biggest positive. It's just the moment you see one of those players or one of those staff members and your eyes kind of meet, you're taken back to that run. With that, there's obviously some disappointment as well. We came so close, but I think the good far outweighs the bad when we're all back together. Me personally, I just I wish I had some kind of grand answer. It was really just trying to put ourselves in that position again. I've always felt that. I felt that as a head coach when we won our very first game. I just remember thinking, man, we got to do this again. When we won our first championship, we got to do this again. And then certainly, getting to the NCAA tournament, that's always the initial feeling. We got to get back next year. So the Final Four and Monday night was no different. So try to do everything we can on a daily basis with discipline, and clear vision, clear plan, to give ourselves a chance to get back there one day.
You got Texas A&M tomorrow night. Obviously, it's on your mind. Buzz has done a great job with that program as well. What specific challenges do they present for you guys tomorrow?
Well, I think several. I think, in my opinion, they are one of the best teams in college basketball. It's not coaches speak. The amount of returners they have from a good team last year kind of set the stage for them. They're obviously undefeated in SEC play, with one of their best players, Wade Taylor, playing. They had some adversity, just like most teams, ourselves included, without their full roster being intact. But the bottom line is they haven't lost a game in our league with their full roster. Their defensive and offensive rebounding identity is real. Probably the best offensive rebounding team in college basketball. I think they have some other parts of their team that probably don't get enough attention. Their guard play is dynamic. Guys that can create their own shot, guys that can get downhill and put pressure on the defense. So a lot of things in this game, just jump off the page that you're going to have to be successful in to have a chance to play. But a lot of respect for Buzz, and I think they got a really good team this year.
You get students back for the first time on Wednesday night. Spring semester starting a little later at Ole Miss than a lot of places. You've got BlueSky matching attendance to dollars. Obviously, Lee and Funky's kicked that off with the same thing last week. What just kind of thought about, especially in conference play, the buy-in from the community and the fans, and then kind of getting everybody back in the arena for the big game at 8 on Wednesday?
Well, we've worked really hard at it. I appreciate you asking the question. We, when we came to Oxford, we wanted to build a program that can compete for championships. So here we are, year 2, trying to take that next step. We have to have really good players. We got to recruit them, coach them, teach them, develop them. And we know we got to have a home court advantage. I think our things going in the right direction in terms of attendance and in-game environment. The remaining games of this season, it's a big step for us. Can we get our students there in full force and create an atmosphere where they have a lot of fun, and help us, have a home court advantage? Can we get our season ticket holders to use their tickets, either come to the game themselves or please spend, 5 minutes of time and effort to get somebody to sit in your seats? And then once we get everybody in the building, can we continue to kind of build what we started, and create a great atmosphere for college basketball in the pavilion? So we're excited. I don't think we're where we need to be yet, but we're going in the right direction. And certainly this game tomorrow, is the next opportunity. We're super excited to have the students back. We missed them, and we're looking forward to having those bleachers filled tomorrow night.
All right, one last off-the-wall question. I ask this of people all the time. You're a Texan. The new president has indicated that he's going to release the JFK files. Your opinion, did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone?
God, I've never been asked that one. I like it. So I'm going back to basically just my knowledge of watching a movie. I'm sure I studied it in school and I don't remember. I'm trying to think about how to get a block out. But I have watched a couple of those movies. In my opinion, I would say that he did not act alone. Somebody else had to be in that circle of that ridiculous and stupid decision.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Neal's with you.
I'm definitely with you on that. I'm hoping that the whole file gets released so we can get to the, if it's possible to get to the bottom of it, we can finally get to the bottom of it. Hey, I appreciate your time very much. Thanks for being with us, and good luck to you tomorrow night.
You're welcome, guys. See you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Chris Beard, Campbell Clinic Hotline, here with us on this Tuesday morning. Again, Ole Miss and A&M Wednesday night from the pavilion, 8 o'clock, as we were talking there. So appreciate his time. As always, we'll come back real quick in a second. First, tell you about Citizens Bank, not just an account number, but a valued member of the community. Now, if you find yourself in the market for a mortgage, another reason to give them a try at Whit Wilson. Maybe know in the mortgage space now at the Citizens Bank, and ready to help you with your real estate goals. Stop by and visit 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E. Discuss your options with Whit and any of their experienced bankers. And while you're in there, ask about the School Spirit debit cards, because they donate an amount per every transaction to the local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. That's the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com.
Brought to you by Argent Wealth. Argent, based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. To learn more, go to myargentwealth.com. We're also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. To learn more, get in touch with him at jedwards@regencytravel.net or call him at 901-494-3387. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net or call Andy at 404-973-9901.
Podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine, prescriptions the same day each month, and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. Again, transfer those medicines, one phone call, they take care of the rest. So whether it be in Holly Springs or Oxford, that's 662-236-2222. College football playoff odds for next season. If you think top 25 polls are stupid, go ahead and throw some money on next year's national champion. Probably just as dumb for next season. But Texas leading the way at plus 450, so 4.5 to 1 to take the Longhorns to win the national title next year. Ohio State 5 to 1, Georgia 6 to 1, Oregon 7.5 to 1, Penn State 7.5 to 1. They're also number one in a couple of these polls.
Penn State.
Sorry, in these top 25s, I should say. Yes.
Okay.
Bama 13 to 1, Notre Dame 15 to 1, Tennessee 16, LSU 18, Clemson 20 to 1, Ole Miss 22 to 1, Miami 30 to 1, A&M 30 to 1, Michigan 40 to 1, and South Carolina 40 to 1 on this list.
I mean,
so all your money's down, Mr. McCready.
I wouldn't even know where to. If you tell me to take $100 and I had to bet it, I don't even know where I'd even think about starting. If you told me you just had to, you had no choice but to bet $100.
I'm going to give you $100 and you just throw it on somebody.
You have to put it on somebody. I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't think I'd bet on Penn State. I think I've learned that lesson. I wouldn't even know. Wouldn't have a clue. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't know.
It's typically not the place to start trying to be cute. Just best teams. Just take it and see what happens. Don't. They make a lot of money off people throwing the 50 and the 25 and the 100 on the 40 to 1.
Yeah, I understand where they're going with Texas. I get it. I'm not sure I totally buy it, but I think he will be a very good quarterback. It will be a talented roster. There's a lot of continuity.
You also have to remember it's perception. It's trying to get bets. And you got Arch going under center, and a lot of people are going, yeah, I'm for the Manning. He's going to win.
Sure.
That's why Bama used to get bet like crazy because everybody assumed they were going to win the games. And they did a lot of times.
They did. Yeah, and the Mannings win a lot of games, so I get it. So I might just go there. I wouldn't go spend my projected earnings right off the bat. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't feel great about it.
Tonight's games, we mentioned them yesterday, but now that we are in the day of, we got some lines in those three games tonight. SEC Network, 6 o'clock, Vanderbilt at Alabama. Bama's an 11.5-point favorite over the Commodores at Coleman Coliseum tonight. That makes sense to me. 169.5 on an over-under. End of that game, the best game of the night, Mississippi State at Tennessee tonight. Bulldogs and Volunteers at Thompson Bowling. Sorry, now the Food City Center. I apologize. I keep saying Thompson Bowling, but
it's okay.
It's the Food City Center there in Knoxville. Tennessee favored by 6.5 against MSU tonight. Over under 140. So I think it gets close to 70 in that.
What time's that game?
6 o'clock. ESPN 2. That is correct. And then your 8 o'clock game, SEC Network, is Missouri at Texas.
Oh, yeah. It's Missouri's first trip to Texas since, like
the old days.
Yeah, Gabe tweeted about it this morning. I saw the tweet.
Did he?
I don't remember the tweet clearly, but yeah.
Texas minus 1.5 at home. Texas must win if you got the hopes, I would think. You're 1-4. Missouri coming to your place. That feels like a must win tonight for the Longhorns.
Yeah. Boy, because you got to get to 7 or 8 somehow, right? So you got to actually win the games. So you do the math.
It's true. If Texas wins, that will be the first Manning College National Championship.
Yeah. Championships are hard. But they have won 4 Super Bowls. So when people do I mean, they have won.
Those are easier. It's
right.
Those are like predetermined stuff. Just ask Kansas City. It's fine.
How would I adjust the playoff schedule? BWL ask. I think I would move the playoffs up. I think if you're going to do the on-campus thing, maybe instead of doing it the week of Christmas, you do it the week before. Maybe I get to where I have my semifinals on the 1st on New Year's Day. I can still play the other games. That's probably what I do. I don't know how feasible that is. I'm sure that someone who's involved in it would tell me, well, here's why you can't do that. Here's why we did it the way we did it. I can't. You probably don't want to play the games during final exam week. That's probably the reason they pushed it back a week.
They can't, right?
I don't know.
I don't think they can for some reason.
Could be.
I know Ole Miss, I know SEC does not play during those weeks, right?
It's about basketball or football.
Well, either.
Yeah. Well, they typically the week of exams, they don't play games.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll play on the weekend before and the weekend after.
But nothing midweek. So I don't know. Yeah. It's going to take some time. I mean, we're in such a transition period with everything that I'm having a hard time letting any of these one things be what is the big problem right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll see what ratings are. I mean, people watch football because it was on to some extent, but I expect it to be lower than anybody would think at this point.
Well,
I really do.
If the ratings for Monday night are down considerably, and you can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on, but the semifinal ratings were down compared to the previous semifinals. They were still very good numbers, but if your numbers start to decline, you probably are smart to at least pay attention to it. I will repeat what I said earlier. It felt late last night.
It did.
I don't, and so people go, well, you were into the political thing, and I was. I mean, there was some fascinating theater on television, and I like American history, and you felt like you were sort of living American history yesterday a little bit without getting political. I kind of felt that way. So I was interested in that, but I don't know how interested I would have been in that game anyway. It was late. January the 20th felt late for a college football game.
Kind of close here. We will need some fodder tomorrow. It's being mentioned in the stream. Lenardi put out bracketology, so we'll look through some of the metrics and the tournament stuff leading into Ole Miss and A&M tomorrow. But yeah, if you offered this to Chris Beard, probably be pretty happy to take it. Ole Miss and Lenardi's latest bracket. I'll tease this part, and then we'll get out of here. Ole Miss a 4 seed, and their quad is Ole Miss, South Alabama, Lipscomb, and Wisconsin. They would jump at that right now if that would be what was offered.
Sure.
Good teams, but that would
they're
be
13 in the
slate.
net right now. I mean, that's not a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to win games, but
Iowa State, the 1 seed in that bracket.
I mean, Ole Miss has lost 3 games. They've lost 1 game where the game got away from them. That was Memphis. They've lost on essentially a putback against Purdue, and was that an overtime?
I think it was just end of game.
Okay, and then they've lost in overtime at Mississippi State. From a net standpoint, the net loves them, and there's a reason for that. I mean, they've taken care of business. They'll have their hands full tomorrow. It's a huge game, and then they'll have their hands full Saturday. I think Missouri's really good, and if you've watched them play, they've played some really good teams and beaten them and almost beaten them, and they're very good at home, and they'll have a big environment there. That'll be a tough place to go get a dub.
Iowa State, Alabama, Auburn, and Duke, the 4 number 1 seeds in that bracket. So, again, we will dive into it a little more tomorrow. But, again, some SEC games tonight. Ole Miss A&M tomorrow night from the Pavilion. Thanks to Chris Beard for joining us today. Again, always in podcast form. And we will be back with you again tomorrow. Rebelgrove.com. In the meantime, take care. Have a good day. And we'll talk to you then.